What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Millzy, back with the Hometown Commander here for another deck tech. If you're not aware of how Millzy Brews is working now, this is the deck tech portion of the episode. If you want to see me brew this deck live, talk about my deck, my card choices live, and talk through my strategies, there's going to be a link down below to go watch the brew video. But please comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what you think of this deck, what you think I should add, what you think I should take out. But let's talk about it. Kumena, Tyrant of Araska, Merfolk Tribal. I started my Millzy Brews episode by talking about the catalyst for making this deck. And it was 2 cards, or really the new Merfolk support we got in Dominaria United. Vidalian Hexcatcher gives all our Merfolk +1/+1. We can sack Merfolk to counter spells unless its controller pays 1. We can also flash it in. I think this card is going to be really beneficial for, those turns where your opponent taps out to play a big spell, to sack a Merfolk token or a little creature that we don't need, and counter that. The other really cool part about this is you could counter the same. You could use that ability twice, sack 2 tokens, both point them at the same spell if your opponent only has 1 land left, to make sure that they counter that spell. But I think more often than not, it's going to stop those big tap out creature or big spells that your opponent's going to have to need and have to try to make them pay dearly for. And the other new card is Emperor Mihail II. I joke that I don't know who Emperor Mihail I is, but we have Emperor Mihail II. You can look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast Merfolk spells from the top of your library. Whenever you cast a Merfolk spell, we can pay 1, and if we do, we get a 1/1 blue Merfolk token. Now, we have something similar to Mihail already in Deeper Waters. Deeper Waters just does it right away, though. But I think this is really interesting, and it's going to help us out a ton. Man, Merfolk are a really fun tribe. I think there's a lot of really cool interaction with Merfolk, but I think the coolest part about Merfolk, especially Kumena's version of Merfolk, is we care about 2 things: tapping our creatures to get effects and +1/+1 counters. And there's plenty of ways to go down the route for both of them. One of the cool little sub-themes in this deck is Island Walk. Our creatures either being unblockable or our lords giving our creatures Island Walk. And we have 1 or 2 ways to give our opponent's lands Island Walk. The biggest kind of being Quicksilver Fountain. Them making their lands into islands. But we also have Aquatex Will as well, which is going to help make a land an island. I know blue is a very common color in Commander, but we can't rely on all of our opponents always to have an island. We're going to need some way to help kind of promote this. The reason I'm playing Aquatex Will is because we do have the Mystical Tutor if we do need to go in and get this to to enable that Island Walk. The other cool thing here is we get access to cards like Marrow Commerce, which is going to untap all of our Merfolk at the end of our turn, which is going to be really cool because it's going to allow us to go completely all out on our turn, tapping them out, and then untap them at the end of our turn. The other cool thing we get is something like Quest for Renewal. Which, as long as we have enough quest counters on Quest for Renewal, we're going to get to untap all of our creatures during everyone else's turn. This is just going to allow us to continue to draw cards with Kumena, continue to get value, and if we get enough creatures out, just start stacking a ton of +1/+1 counters on our cards. We're playing things like Simic Ascendancy as an alternate win con, in case we want to go that route. Of course, we're playing our normal +1/+1 support and things like Hardened Scales and Doubling Season, which is going to kind of work double duty in doubling the amount of counters we put on our cards and doubling the amount of tokens that we would produce, which is really cool. Instants and sorceries are playing a lot of ramp. We want to get up the rungs quickly, and we want to do it really quickly. So we're trying to really target that 2 mana ramp, so we can get up there quickly. Just a couple of counters. I don't tend to play a lot of counter spells. If that's something you're interested in, you could probably cut more of the support cards for counters. I just generally don't play as many of them. One of the big things that I tried my best to do was I really like Urza Saga. It's one of those cards in our format that produces a lot of really good playlines. And in this deck, it can go get us the Ozolith, one of honestly the best artifacts that's been released in the last 2 years, in my opinion, when it comes to counter strategies, because it allows us to put counters that were on a creature that left the battlefield onto this, and at the start of our combat we can move them all to one creature. This is really cool because we could go for the Voltron play with Kumena if we want to, but otherwise we're just going to spread them around, put them on an unblockable creature, like Triton Shore Stalker, or one of our guys that are in the air, or Misthold Cleric, one of these guys that are unblockable, and just use it to push through for damage. We're playing a couple fancy combos, but we are playing the Icecrown Scepter Dramatic Reversal combo to allow us to untap all non-land permanents we control. So this means that basically we can, as long as we have enough mana, or we keep up enough mana, or if we have a Cryptolith Rite active, we could use Icecrown Scepters on everyone's turn to untap all our permanents, tap them again to draw cards, use our abilities, and have a ton of fun. Every Merfolk in this deck is built to either buff other Merfolks, give us more counters, or help push our strategy forward. This deck looks like a ton of fun. It's one I'm really excited to try out. As normal, I leave my maybe board. These were the cards that I was considering, but cut out of the deck over here on the side. If this is a deck that interests you, take this maybe board, see if any of these cards fit for you, and make this deck your own. That's my goal with this series. Is it's not tell you what I think you should play or what I think the perfect Merfolk deck. This is just the Merfolk deck that I brewed, and I hope that you can take it and make it your own. Very excited for Ixalan to come back at the end of next year. We will probably end up getting a new Merfolk commander, and I hope to brew it then when it comes out. But for now, Simic Merfolk is the way to go, and I'm very excited. I hope the professor would be proud of the list that I have, and I will catch you guys next time.